Greetings. This is Robert Forsch. I wanted to go over something here. There are people that are blind to what's going on all around. And I like to use, I've never seen that sign before. I never even saw a sign like that before. And I thought it would be a novelty to illustrate something I believe is really important. And that being that there's a lot of people that are unaware of the peril that we're actually in, potentially. We just don't know when it's going to take place, when it gets really difficult for us. So what I want to do is illustrate this particular area right now where there's construction of homes, and these are right in the middle of the shot. There is a pond. However, you can't see that from this vantage point because the elevation is too high. Water exposes the global lie. I want to show you how big of a deal that is. Okay, so up on the dirt mound right there, we've got a piece of equipment much like the one that was down by the beach today, and interestingly enough, similar type of heavy equipment also operating, like the big dump truck that's there. And what I'm going to do is just pull right on up here and just give you a little bit of a look of what this looks like here. We've got ice in the water, and then a big old pile of dirt here that loader is putting into a dump truck. Over off to the side there in the middle of the shot approximately is a bunch of concrete type of plumbing for the sewer. And there are all the pipes off to the side. Now, the reason why the water exposes the global lie is water seeks its level. That's what it does all over the face of the earth. These pieces of equipment that are operating here have been working on this site for months, okay? And what they're doing is they're changing the elevation of this piece of property so that it actually will not flood when we have heavy rains come here. I've mentioned this in other broadcasts where we have rain that sometimes will come down with a hurricane type of storm. There may be several inches in 15 minutes. It comes down harder than any area I've ever seen before. Now, we saw the big concrete pipe from the side view. Here they are from the end view. You can actually see through them. What will end up happening is instead of water accumulating in their living room, it will accumulate in the low spots all around. The water retention ponds that I'll show you on my way out. And what will happen is the way that this is all designed is to keep the water from flooding out the different accommodations, the different houses here. That's just the way that they set this up. So on the bulldozers, there will be different computer type of systems that mark elevation, and they can totally set this up so that the tracked bulldozer like that is about over $500,000. What that'll do is it will cut a level path. Now it's kind of hard to see with all the same color of dirt and all the diffused lighting, but straight away there is a big ditch. It's probably 4 feet lower than the land around it. They're going to be running all that different type of piping through there, and they'll do that to basically allow a place for all the sewage to flow. Now in this area here, this neighborhood, this is probably about 4 feet lower than that higher ground that is further up the way. And what I'm going to do is just go back around, and I just wanted to illustrate how this works out actually. So they create a construction site, a home site, based on elevations of an area that are determined with pretty high technology. Now I'm seeing some interesting storm clouds rolling in. We're expecting some amount of snow here today. We don't know how much that'll be and how far up the coast it may travel. In the middle of the view, there's a big dump truck over there, like was on the beach. And they're just moving that dirt around so that they can have the concrete slab that the house is on be above where the water would flow. All those houses on the other side of this area are quite a bit lower, at least 4 or 5 feet lower than here. So these places won't flood out. There's a whole lot of place for the area for the water to flow. So where I'm going to drive to our house is approximately 7 miles from the ocean and approximately 25 feet above sea level. That's the big deal. If there was a 100-foot wave that were to come in to the beach area there, that would come in as far as where we live. So that's part of what I want to go back. That's part of what I wanted to illustrate. So where I was today in the earlier broadcast at the beach showing equipment and beach renourishment there, I was about 100 feet higher than sea level right there. And so you can go up a ways or you can go in a ways. When we looked at what happened with Fukushima, that was an absolute catastrophe of unprecedented that we're aware of. What made that so interesting, from what I can see, is that we actually had video cameras in the form of cell phones that were able to show us the kind of horror that took place. And that's, you can see, and I'll probably feature some of that as well in my timeline on my YouTube channel now that I'm thinking about it. Many of you have already seen some of the footage of this. Now, what I want to show here, this bank right now is open and functioning. We've got the ATM, anytime money. This is where I do my banking, just down the street from where I live. And right now I'm able to go in here and deposit some checks and pay some bills and all of that. It's all basically a bit of an illusion of sorts. The way the financial system in this world works is different than a lot of people are aware of. It's basically digital currency or a digital exchange. There's more than on the horizon, we've got cryptocurrency that's all over the place as well. And I believe that that's either directly going to be a mark of the beast type system, or what I remember reading in the book of Revelation in the early 80s, it blew my mind. No one will be able to buy or sell without the mark of the beast. How will that happen? Well, back in the 80s, like that, there weren't even many people that had answering machines or cell phones. I'm just trying to help you to think of what has transformed electricity and then the interconnectivity of the internet that did not exist back then either. Not for us folks. Right in the neighborhood where I drove away from, I delivered a prescription for a friend that unfortunately needs to have that. Well, anyway, he worked for the military-industrial complex as a subcontractor. They had used the internet for a long time, a different form of communication than a lot of people were aware of. He's 88 years old and he's internet savvy. We're friends on Facebook. Jerry, he's a wonderful guy. I wanted to just share some of this for you to consider what happens when the power goes out. The artificial intelligence that's been online for a long time, as best I can tell, has been forecasted through what's termed in many of your understanding as predictive programming, whether it's on the Simpsons or Family Guy or Fox News or CNN or MSNBC. They'll show us different things to prepare us in some way for what's coming. And then we're going to be blindsided to a lot of it. In my standing in line over at the CVS pharmacy, waiting, there was a tremendous amount of people getting their prescriptions. The antipsychotic that I was on, the prescriptions that I was on over 4 years ago, would be about $1,000 a month. Yeah, that's a lot of money. I don't need any of that anymore. Like I mentioned earlier today, the high-powered nutrition that I consume basically are the precursors for the endorphins, the dopamine, the serotonin, all of the neurotransmitters that the brain operates on, to be able to assess input, information, and then formulate a reasonable plan of action. So to look at a contrast of that, in 2005, I had life circumstances that were difficult, and I decided, while I was on Prozac and Depakote, to take a bottle and a half of Tylenol PM so I could wake up in the arms of Jesus and not cause the family any more pain with my bipolar type of activities. Well, I don't have those type of activities anymore. When I was born again 3 years ago, Jesus changed me, even though I did ministry activity for years before. Homeschooled our children, worked at a full-time ministry. That doesn't mean I was born again. If I step into a garage, that doesn't make me a car. If I step into a bank, it doesn't make me currency. In fact, there's not much currency within the exchange in commerce. It's largely digital and credit. So when the credit bubble bursts, they could do that independently, or the power grid could get shut down, and all the ancillary or related activities from the distribution of goods to the production of goods, the pumping of water into water towers, it all stops when that goes down. And there may be, for a short time, water in the water towers. You might want to fill up your bathtubs with that water. You might want to be filling containers so you've got some water to wash your hands or rinse off your dishes. Like, I used to be a procrastinator. I don't procrastinate. I get a few hours of sleep a day and I do this kind of thing. There's this me that's live right now. And then there's the digital me that people are liking, commenting on, or unfriending and blocking me. Oh, well, I'm not in any way, shape, or form responsible for the results of what I do. I'm responsible for my actions. I'm most responsible to do what God created me to do. And by His grace and empowered by Him, I'm doing that. So if you like what you're hearing, you can hear more of it on my profile on Facebook and YouTube. And on my YouTube channel, Eternal Perspective, in the lower right corner is the Google Plus icon. You can click on that. I've got some things over there. And then also my Facebook contact information is there. So if you want to message me, messenger me, that's why I'm not throwing my business card out there the way I was. I'm doing it a little bit differently. I want to make this more replicatable for people to do. If you don't have a YouTube channel, I would say, well, it's a great opportunity to create playlists just by liking a video. If I have my playlist preferences public, you can see the videos I like. Just because I like a video doesn't mean I like what they're talking about. I just believe it's important to know. Like the drugging of the population of the world. Making a Killing is a video on pharmacology and the, I believe, illegal pursuit of the pharmaceutical industry to drug the population of the world. Also, the marketing of madness. It's crazy. What's going on in humanity? Blind person walking. Yeah, that's why did I start it like that? Well, maybe you get the idea. There's a lot of people that are blind and they don't know it. They're deceived and they don't know it by irony and paradox. Deceived people are unaware of the deception they're in. So somebody could be driving an expensive car, drinking gourmet coffees, has letters around their name and a lot of digits in the Monopoly bank account that's in a building like this. You think that intimidates me? Not at all. I wouldn't trade places with anybody in this world at all. None. Nada. No one. Not a Bill Gates, a Warren Buffett, an Elon Musk. Would I like to drive a Tesla, a coupe? Yeah. If you've got one and you want me to go live behind the wheel, I'd be happy to take you for one heck of a ride. Elon, if you're listening and you want to see what I can do on a racetrack, go ahead and make it happen if you want to. You know, I don't think any of that's going to happen. I'm not anticipating that I'm going to be able to broadcast live from a race car. I would do it in a heartbeat. Yeah, I would. Now, I did get contacted by one of my friends on Messenger while I'm driving from picking up things from the Costco. Some of my highly nutrient dense raw materials, my spinach, kale, and all of that. Well, he contacted me from India. There's a genocide going on there. He wanted me to fly over there and do some photojournalism. And what I'm going to do instead, because I can't afford that, I'm going to see digitally what I can do to make some of that aware, make some of you aware of what's going on and who's behind it if I'm able to determine some of that activity. So from the I would say the comfort from my home, yeah, I can do a lot. I can travel digitally around the world. I do it every day. So as I'm interacting with people, some of them, yesterday, a lovely lady from somewhere, I won't necessarily need to say where, somewhere in the world, was interacting on a post with a group of people in a group discussing the globe and the flat earth and related issues. Well, she got blocked and don't know exactly why that happened. It's kind of like a digital schoolyard fight, and somebody can say, hey, time out. I'm going to put you in a timeout, and then she'll be able to come back. But in the process of what I did is I private messaged her my YouTube channel, my liked video playlist, and my Facebook photo album. eternalperspectivebible.com. She contacted me, wanted to chat a little bit, and we did. She had no recourse on the rest of the activity on the thread, but she knew I was there. Well, people don't often care how much we know until they know how much we care, right? I care a lot. I care a lot for even the people that call me ugly names and say I'm stupid. Oh, well, knock yourself out. I'm not the one believing we went to the moon and we live on a spinning ball, that all the ridiculous details of how that would work out. Come on. Come on. We were kids when we were told there are people upside down in relationship to us. If you look across, if you go to Lake Michigan, let's say, or you see a big open lake, people aren't saying, hey, that can't be real. That can't, because all the water would go away. Just look at a pond, look at a lake. There's a surrounding area. I'm not saying that there's armed individuals blockading the whole outer perimeter of the puddle of water that the continents rise out of. I don't know. I know that There are supposed trips to Antarctica, and I believe that they actually go to a place that's called Antarctica. When you see penguins and snow and ice and icebergs, and I don't think you're going to say, "Hey, just let me out here. I'm gonna set up camp in Antarctica." Yeah. There's a whole lot of guidelines on what you can and can't do and all of that. There's a lot of discussion about a lot of things related to, are there more lands? How would we know? How would we know? If a commercial pilot is on a plane and an airplane flying in the air over the plane, right? Okay, just think about it. All the clues are there, or a lot of the clues are there. The water's the big one. A commercial pilot can't just say, "Hey, there's a nice spot I'd like to check out. You know, I know we're on our way to whatever the destination is. I just want to land on in here and see what it's like. Maybe I want to move here someday." No, they've got a mission to do and a purpose and what it's all about. How much does it take to fly one of the commercial airliners with hundreds and hundreds of people on it? Well, just add up the price of it. You know, well, what is it? Maybe $250,000 for that it's going to cost passengers to fly from point A to B, wherever those points are. Okay, and then there's a lot of stories about a lot of things. Are they real? There's believing, and then there's knowing. In just a little while, I'm going to, one more time, see that the plumbing and water distribution still works out. I've had my morning coffee, and I've had my morning water. The water seeks its level. The jug's 100% full. Water, atmosphere. Let's be specific when we talk about things. I will be. You can do whatever you want. What I prefer is to be rather specific. I want to be a catalyst for consideration. I want you to know that we are in a very precarious time in human history. We can do different things like subscribe to other people's YouTube channels, 100 per day. In my conduct, the way that I roll, what I do when I add a subscription, one falls off. We can only have 2,000. I can do 100 a day if I want to. So I can go in a chat on the International Space Station or 24/7 beautiful views from around the world and say this simple statement: water exposes the global lie. Let's do that a little bit quicker. Water exposes the global lie. Bam. And then I'm off. I may subscribe to a few of those people in the chat right there. When I go on a nature show chat, they're like Lounge 5 or Lounge V Productions. I've been sharing it quite a bit. You can find it on my timeline. There may be 2,000-3,000 people. They may have it full screen and not have any idea what the chat's about. I can make that proclamation on the ISS live feed, supposedly. The international fake station. It's not real. Water exposes the global lie there too. They're in either a swimming pool, zero gravity. Gravity, as we're told, doesn't actually exist. Okay, so the water will seek its level. That's not necessarily what people understand as gravity. Gravity, as people understand it or are told, this could sit up here like this. Well, it's not going to stick to the bottom. Let's do it like this. There's no people sticking to the bottom of a spinning globe. That's ridiculous. It's a lie. So when somebody calls me stupid and they're proclaiming that they believe the official heliocentric model of cosmology with ships landing on the moon and flying through space and on their way to Mars, they're deceived and they don't know it. I don't care what they drive or how much they can buy and who they can do what with. Doesn't matter to me. That's not what this is about. What this is about is me, Jesus living in and through me and all of his children that are actually born again. Some people will never be born of God's Spirit. They may be indwelt by Satan or a fallen angel or a demon. That's the kind of thing that we're up against here. If I live a short distance from Atlantic Beach. If there was a meth or a coke addict, a crack addict, that somebody that wanted me to shut the heck up, if they were to say, here's an 8-ball and whatever, or they give them a bag of drugs, do you think they would find a way to take me out? Of course. I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. On my photo album, I've got and it's on my cover photo and profile picture, I got a note to never come back to this beach again. I've been back there a lot of times. Nobody is going to silence me until it's time for Jesus to take me home. As still as there's breath in these lungs, I'm going to hand out invitations for eternity, because what happened to me is so significant. I want it to happen to more people, to actually be born again and to be set free from the slavery of sin that I was addicted to. There's a lot of suicides this time of year. I know people that are no longer having this human experience because they've killed themselves. It's sad. In fact, one of those individuals was very close to me, and they shared Jesus with me over 35 years ago, and they're gone. They've transitioned. And we had a discussion about pharmaceuticals. He said, Robert, I believe you need to get back on drugs. You're out of touch. You need to get back on your medicine. You're out of touch with reality. I've been watching your Facebook, and I think you're in trouble. And I said, well, no, I'm not. I'm doing better than ever, and I'm glad to be free. I barely survived a dozen years and 16 medications, a pharmaceutical assault on me that was a catalyst for illegal and legal drug addiction. It's what you need to know about. I mean, if you care to, or like I say, you can scroll on by. I am an acquired taste. I get that. If you love the truth, you may find what I'm saying rather intriguing, because I'm not asking you for money. I don't need any of that. I need what Jesus provides, and I'll do what I can with what he provides for me to do. So I'm not procrastinating anymore. My batteries are all charged, literally. The batteries I use for a broadcast, yeah, who knows when the grid's going to go down. When I start up the car, I can charge up a bunch of batteries at once and go somewhere. You know, I'm not going to run this car just to start or to warm up a battery. It's not going to happen like that. So, like when I went to fill up the car with fuel this morning, who knows how often I'll be able to do that when things go ugly. I've got a little bit of gas at home, not much, but I am going to talk to the owner of that new travel plaza, Bolino's, Frank Bolino, and I'm going to say, hey, Frank, are you setting up to pump fuel when the grid goes down? It went down last year when we had Hurricane Matthew. Right near this parking lot, there were power lines down across the road. Cars were smashing into each other, freaking out, 70, 80 mile an hour winds, sparks flying all over the place. Yeah. Right now, this gentleman here is delivering Bega Assault because they're expecting snow and ice. What's that going to look like? You'll see it on the news, I'm sure. It'll be on my news feed. I couldn't get away from it if I tried to. I'm not all freaked out about the imminent collapse of society, because I believe it's coming, and well, about as strongly as I could assert, I know it's coming. I just don't know what vantage point I'll have to be able to see it. What's that going to look like? So you can fill up empty plastic containers with water, a little bit of baking soda to rinse stuff off. I've got other containers, healthier containers with purified water. Yeah, I've got some food, not a lot. Keep in mind, like I mentioned in today's earlier broadcast, I got a few extra pounds that are really healthy fat. I'm not all charged up about, oh, I need to live my life better and more deliberate and lose weight. No, do you know what happens when somebody is all ripped with a low body fat and they start going through food withdrawals? They aren't getting enough calories. Wow, it can get ugly. Yeah, painful and ugly. I've got an adequate amount of muscle tissue, lean muscle mass, and some extra food stored on me in the form of really healthy nutrients. Back when I was coming off of marijuana and antipsychotics, when I would be fasting, I was getting a buzz from the stored chemicals that were in my fatty tissue. That's how it works. Well, I'm running clean now. I'm not riding dirty. Part of the experience of being so justifiably concerned or paranoid when I was riding dirty all over the place, I had to think, oh, my back blinker is blinking fast. They'll know one of my blinkers is out. They could pull me over and give me a courtesy call and say, it looks like you may have a blinker out. Oh, it looks like you may be riding dirty. Let's take a look. This is a little courtesy call. It looked like one of your light bulbs on your license plate was out. Let's just take a look at the rest of your life and see how in order it is. So I live a life that's very deliberate. I give myself plenty of time to get where I'm going, so I don't need to break any laws to get from point A to B. You know, so part of that dynamic, the clues are all around us. If the grid were down, I wouldn't be going to Walmart then. Not unless I wanted to be at a bit of a distance and doing a live broadcast like the photojournalism that I'm participating in even right now. Who's telling you this stuff? Remember back in the 40s, the iconic man wearing a trench coat like this? This is an authentic Harris tweed from the 40s. I think when I look back on those days, the Cary Grant, the different John Doe Goes to Washington, he kind of talked about what was really happening in the world. And maybe we had this iconic view of a trustworthy media that was holding the politicians and the corporations accountable. It ain't happening now. There's a big club and you ain't in it. It's George Carlin. George Carlin had a lot of pretty edgy statements to make and quite a bit of profanity in the mix of it. I don't believe he was born again. Hopefully he was. If he was going to be, he is. You know, that's the point of that. What I want to basically elaborate on is that rather than one person and a bunch of people cheerleading on that one, oh, Kyrie Irving is saying the earth's flat. Yeah, it's flat. That's great. B.O.B., it's flat. ODD, I got a lot of friends that talk about the flat earth. And as important as it is to know the truth about some of those details, as each one of us decides that we're going to tell the truth, if we can, I can. If a person works for when I talk to one of the pharmaceutical representatives, the pharmacist at the Walmart locally, and I said, hey, you know what? I'm free. I'm off drugs, all kinds. Here's my card if you want to see what I do. It's on YouTube, Eternal Perspective. You can check out my Facebook. What's she going to do with that information? Probably pulling down 125,000 or more a year, maybe. I don't know. Is she going to have, if the veil is removed from her eyes, what's she going to do? What am I going to do when I found out that I was perpetuating the global lie? Well, I'm going to tell people. when they're taxing and spending and inflating the dollar and reducing its reducing the purchasing power of all the dollars that are out there. It's a hidden tax. It's not really hidden. Just go and buy food and toilet paper. It costs more. But TVs have gone down. Have you noticed? The stuff that's about programming has continually cost less. I know you can spend big money for the latest technology. I just mean a flat screen TV that would have been thousands you can get for hundreds now, if you look at that. The cell phone that I'm using right now used to be like a big walkie-talkie on an old 1960s war movie. Now we can slip them in our pocket, and for gosh sakes, I've got an iPod Touch. I can go on a Wi-Fi hotspot and communicate with people all around the world. I can use an old iPhone for that, and I do. Yeah, you can do that. Walmart had deals that were $100 for an iPhone. I could take that iPhone and do what I'm doing right now just by slipping a SIM card in it, like a Jason Bourne kind of thing. I want to show you something. Have you ever needed to change a SIM card? Really? Have you? Did you have a SIM card tool with you? Do you realize the kind of benefit there is with that? That's what that is. It's a SIM card tool. I can, yeah, I've got an announcement that my battery's not charging. Okay, so this right here, let's see. See that light just went on? Yeah, that means it's charging now, hopefully. It's all a delicate balance. To go live a lot takes quite a bit of thought to do that. So I was trying last year when we had the hurricane to be able to do stuff broadcasting, and I didn't have full access to the car the way I do now. This is a mobile broadcast studio. I just showed you that, and I've been doing that for a while. My budget, I'll work with whatever I have. If you want to contact me anytime, you can do that through the messenger program. I've got some business to tend to. Feel free to call me anytime. And for an eternal perspective, I encourage everybody to hear, share, and of course, most importantly, obey God's word. Bible.com and Bible.is, very effective way of sharing God's word to the ends of the earth around the clock.